We're talking a lot about digital wellness and digital hygiene and ways to keep our lives more balanced. And we're going to talk today to Joe Hollier, who really has explored this concept with relation to our phones. And he and his partner in crime, Kai Wei Tang, met at a Google experimental program in 2014, and they were destined to create something called the Light Phone. Now they're in version 2, and basically the Light Phone enables you to use your phone and to have things connected to it that are necessary, like texting and maybe an alarm clock, maybe a GPS, but that's it. And I love this concept, and I want to ask you about your gut about this. When you hear about a phone that's just a phone based on your relationship to your phone now, would you want to switch out and just get that phone and bring back a certain quality of life? We had a conversation with Tim Smits recently about Unplug, which is a device that helps you keep away your phone apps from distracting you. So we're really in conversation here about ways to enjoy the modern day without becoming some nutcase that's constantly on an app and constantly following and constantly doom scrolling and just losing your sense of grounding in the real world. What's your gut about the title of this Swell? You know, just directly, if you had a phone that just did this, how would you feel about it? What comes up for you? I want to welcome Joe to this conversation because he just was in that space. He was thinking about this, and now he's full on, and they're creating this incredible revolution. They even went to Light Phone number 2, so they're on it. They're on their way. They had a Kickstarter campaign. I think that we're in a really interesting place to meet people like innovators like Joe and Kawai, because I think they are positioned to make some changes and helping us break free from that experience of being tethered to your phone. Let's get into this. Thanks.
Hello. I'm very excited about this conversation. It brings up a topic that I've been thinking about for quite a long time. One of the things that, well, just to answer your question, the main thing that pops to my head when say, would you use this, is 100%. I would absolutely love to use this. However, and I believe that there's a lot of people who would resonate with me on this, it seems like our jobs, careers, whatever it might be, are now so integrated and necessary with certain applications that it would be degrading to our careers, jobs, whatever, if we were to then go and use something like this Light Phone. So I personally have wanted to do this for quite a long time. I've wanted to be able to fully unplug and have a phone that is just texting, phone calls, maps, and a camera. But I've always been in a situation, I'm a pastor, and so I've got to go and manage different text groups, different social media, all of that stuff. And I've usually been one of the managers for that side of it, which has disallowed me from doing what I'd really love to do, which is go and unplug, relinquish a little bit of this phantom vibration syndrome that I've got going. And one of the questions that I would have is there a way to then go and pair this phone with another smartphone so that both of them work, both of them run on the same service, but I would have the option to switch over to that phone and then develop a schedule on where I can use that rather than using my typical phone with all of its capabilities. Thank you for starting this conversation. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Hello, everybody. Now we are so used to this digital methodology of communication, and that's the reason why even I think Swell existed. Swell has brought a new vision and a way of talking to people and expressing oneself. Yes, we are able to make our listeners, whoever they may be, in whatever space they may be, whatever job they may be, whatever age they may be. Yes, we can. We can bring a revolution in our thinking and speaking skills. It's nice to even discuss about this topic. We have a revolution that we're bringing around, and the persons who are there in our group is exciting. We learn a lot from each of us. We listen, we educate, we express ourselves, we relinquish our emotions, especially if you're falling in love, whatever be your age. Yes, it has to be a two-sided, and there should be somebody to respond to. We can, as a group, come in together and bring a revolutionary change in how to express oneself. Of course, that's through the phone. And there are many who would agree with me. A phone helps, but it's more a nuisance when you're on a job. You have many credit cards holders, we have many loan people just calling you if you avail the loan, especially before the income tax. In India, we have it before March. Between March and June, there's a lot of phone calls, credit cards, loans, investments, all that takes place on a high level if you have not done it throughout the year, apart from Mediclaim. So phones help us and also is a nuisance when we don't need it the most. But like this, when we do listen to each other and motivate and instigate each other to be oneself and to explore the ideas that we have within, let's unite and bring forward lots of topics in this way. Very interesting. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Joe. I'm one of the co-founders of the Light Phone, and I am really excited to be here. Thanks for the invitation to this conversation. I'm, really looking forward to hearing everyone's reaction to using a phone like the Light Phone, and here to answer any questions you might have about how the phone functions, to the experience of going light, with some of the friction points or really positive benefits we've been seeing. So happy to talk about anything Light Phone. I did see one question asking about how one could maybe use the Light Phone in conjunction with their smartphone, because obviously in this day and age there's so many aspects of our either work life or even sometimes personal life are so dependent on technology that it seems almost impossible that we could switch to a phone like the Light Phone. So just to sort of talk about how the phone itself works, it's basically just an unlocked cell phone. So whatever SIM card you put into the Light Phone, that's the phone number that the Light Phone uses. So there are certainly users who kind of switch between a Light Phone and a smartphone, moving that physical SIM card between the two devices. And it's kind of like how we have different shoes for different occasions. Some days maybe you need the full-fledged smartphone for whatever it is that you're doing that day, but other days you want that kind of peace of mind of going light. Other users actually prefer to get two separate phone numbers. So they'll have a Light Phone with its own unique number, and that's kind of their friends and family phone, and then they have their smartphone that's maybe more work related, and perhaps they're only on that during certain hours that they're expected. But actually I'd say the majority of our users tend to go more full time to the Light Phone and use it as their only device. And we've actually definitely seen the most positive results from that kind of fully going light. And that doesn't mean that they don't use technology. I mean, right now I'm recording this on an iPad, and I have my laptop, and I'm still connected throughout most of my work days very heavily on the internet and technology. But my favorite thing is being able to close the laptop at the end of the day and knowing that all my emails are answered, and if anything's urgent, someone's going to call or text me, but that kind of separation of I'm at work and I'm offline has been really, really helpful for someone like me. And I'm curious to know how you guys see it maybe fitting in your lifestyle. And like I said, happy to answer any other questions. Thank you.
Hey Adam, so nice to hear from you again. Thanks for the reply. I think you brought up a lot of really interesting things there. And, to sort of dive in and talk about the Light Phone community, I think as a company, we originated from crowdfunding, originally a Kickstarter and then later an Indiegogo. So naturally, we're very community oriented because we would have never actually got off the ground if it weren't for this initial group of individuals that believed and shared some sort of passion for this kind of, alternative that we wanted to create with Light and the Light Phone in particular. And so it's been interesting to see that community evolve from the crowdfunding campaign days where we would share updates and get a variety of comments, critical and positive, which were both quite helpful, to now where it mostly lives on a user-created Reddit as well as a Discord channel. And I think it's a relatively small fraction of our users that are actively participating in these channels, but it's really encouraging because those users are not only helping us identify bugs or potential upgrades and sharing really great feedback, they're also supporting new users who might run into issues or have different questions. So that kind of peer-to-peer knowledge sharing is just really inspiring. And also prospective users, people who haven't committed to the Light Phone and maybe have some questions or are on the fence. It's really great to have that honest feedback from the community, and I appreciate that the community feels honest. It's not all praise for the Light Phone. There's a lot of critical criticism as well, which is equally important when you're trying to genuinely improve the product and the experience. As for our user base, I think it's really interesting also that it crosses such a diverse range of people from all sorts of age groups, all sorts of careers, geographically around the world and around this country, and also political differences, religious differences. It's really inspiring to see how there is this shared value proposition, this shared idea within the Light Phone that's able to resonate with such a large group. But being that it's such a diverse group, we haven't tried to force any sort of community in any way. We just kind of let it naturally happen. And for some users, that's actually just a one-to-one relationship with us through our inbox or through social media DMs, and letting us know how it's going. And we appreciate that. We also send very regular surveys to users to help us decide how best to use our very limited resources to prioritize our next software development and to just get a pulse on how everyone's feeling about different aspects of the experience. I would say most of our users, about close to 70%, use the Light Phone as their primary device, while the other 30 or so percent do tend to swap between a smartphone, as in your case. But I think your point about the Light Phone as a tool resonates for all of our users, whether that's analog tools in addition to the Light Phone or digital tools. But I have my iPad, which is how I'm able to reply to things like Swell messages. But I also have a film camera, a tangible notebook. I have my laptop, of course, which I use for running the business of Light. And so there are these tools. I have a Garmin in my car, which even when I had an iPhone, I quite preferred the Garmin, the dedicated map. And so the Light Phone is actually just that. It's just a tool, and people can fit it into their lives in many different ways. Giving it to a child as a first phone is definitely something we're seeing more and more of, or parents who, their child is too young for a phone, but they want to be a better example and more present with their kids, and they choose to get a light phone. So it's been really interesting to see all the different ways that light phone can fit into people's lives. Thanks.
Hey, Joe, I just wanted to reflect on the value that I think people really feel from a company that creates community around their product. And I feel that that is a priority for you, because you really are way more than a widget. You are, or a thing. You are a paradigm shift for people, and you're creating confidence and connection and trust and support, and that's impeccable. And I think that's really why people need to pay attention to brands like yours that came from a mission place and then achieved excellence in the product itself, and then created this, evolution, revolution. Time will tell, but it's really inspiring, and it's very moving that you're at the helm and your team sounds so amazing. So I just want to reflect back on that, and I hope we can build a community on Swell that is light focused, the light phone focus. I think it would be a really cool place for everyone to connect, because it kind of resonates in the same way. Even though it's a phone app, I think that there's a place for it. So thank you very much for being here.